Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This morning I want to talk about probably my favorite genre, historical fiction, and I want to tell you what my top 5 favorite historical books are. If you know me, you know that I love to read World War II historical fiction, and probably my favorite book in this genre is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. I read this book 10 years ago, and I still frequently think about it, which shows you what an impact it's had on my life. I really like two things about this book. First, that it is told from Death's perspective, and also it is set in Germany. I find that most World War II historical books are set in one of the Allied countries. So those two things are really unique about this book. This book is written about a little girl named Liesel who is traveling with her mother and brother, and her brother dies. So she and her mother have to bury him. And while they are at the grave site, Liesel finds a book and she takes it with her. She steals it. So fast forward to later, her mother dies and she's being raised in Germany by foster parents. Her foster father teaches her how to read and write, and she falls in love with the written word and writes her own memoirs while stealing books from the area, especially those that are going to be burned by the political powers that be. While she is working for her mother doing laundry, she ends up working in the mayor's house, and the mayor's wife also lets her read some books from her extensive library. So fast forward again a little bit, and her family comes under suspicion by the Nazis for housing the Jew, and the bombs start falling on Germany as the Allied forces begin to take power back. So death is looming one way or another, and he is particularly infatuated with Liesel and her life. So I'm not going to give away anything about the ending. I don't know if anybody has not read this book yet, but if you haven't, I highly suggest it. It very well may change your life. This next book is one that I've talked about before. It's Ireland by Frank Delaney. In 1951, 9-year-old Ronan O'Mara's family welcomes an itinerant storyteller who happens to be the last of his craft into their home. For 3 nights, this gentleman stays in Ronan's home, and he mesmerizes his audience with stories about kings, saints, great accomplishments, and selfless stories. On the 3rd night, however, he is banished from the home for blasphemy. Ronan is deeply affected by the storyteller, and he sets out on a journey to find this storyteller and hear these tales once again. This is a journey that lasts through quite a bit of his lifetime. I was really moved by this story. It's got a great twist at the end, and it's a story that I never will forget. Let me start by saying here that I would recommend nearly all of Kristen Hanna's work. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be talking about The Four Winds. In 1934 Texas, the Great Depression has gripped America, and the Dust Bowl is wreaking havoc on the Great Plains. This leaves our protagonist, Elsa Martinelli, to decide between searching for a better life for herself in California or staying in Texas and fighting for the land that she loves. I think Elsa's story is one of strength, courage, and hope. And I think that these traits of hers are examples of traits that have come to define this great generation that survived the Great Depression. My parents were of that generation, and I saw those very same traits in them. So like I said, anything about Kristen Hanna would be a great read. I have given many of her works 5 stars. The Four Winds is no exception. And I think it's probably my favorite of her works, but that's just a minute distinction because all of her books are really great. The next book I want to include in this vlog is The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This is a story of Lael Sokolov, who is a Slovakian Jew who is forcibly imprisoned at the concentration camp at Auschwitz. Because he speaks several languages, Lael is assigned with the task of tattooing his fellow prisoners with the identification numbers. 2 months after his imprisonment, Lael encounters a young lady named Gita who is anxiously awaiting her tattoo, and Gail is able to comfort her, and he is determined at that moment to survive the concentration camp and marry Gita. This is yet another story of hope, of love, and endurance through a dark time. I think you're probably seeing at this point a theme here. But if you get a chance to read The Tattooist of Auschwitz, I would highly recommend. The last book I'm going to include in this vlog is The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grissom. Orphaned during her passage from Ireland, 7-year-old Lavinia arrives at the kitchen house and is placed as an indentured service under the care of Belle, the master's illegitimate daughter. Soon, Lavinia is accepted in the big house as she has to care for the master's wife, who was addicted to opium. And while they're in the big house, Lavinia befriends the master's son, who is dangerous, but also very protective of his parents. Lavinia soon tries to straddle the line between the two houses, as Belle is one of her closest friends, but she soon discovers that her skin color sets her apart from Belle and the other slaves. I really enjoyed this story. I think it's really a poignant reminder of some of the things this country has been through, and I really enjoyed reading this book, and it made me think about life a lot. And that's something that I really look for in a book. So I hope you get a chance to read it, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hey, thanks for watching my video, and I hope that you will like this video and then subscribe to my channel. See you on the next one.